Hi, I'm Taylor, and I'm 29 years old. My life has been full of challenges, but I wouldn't trade those tough times for anything because they've made me who I am today. To tell my story, I need to start from the very beginning. I was born and raised in a small town called Fairfield, Iowa. Growing up, it was just me and my mom. My dad struggled with alcoholism, and from what my mom told me, he couldn't handle life as an adult. I don't remember much about him because he left when I was only 3 years old, and he's never been part of my life since. After my dad left, my mom had a hard time coping. Occasionally, my grandparents helped us financially, which was a big relief. To support us, my mom worked several shifts at a diner owned by Richard and Eleanor Evans. I went to school with their son, Ethan, who later became my ex-husband. At first, Ethan and I didn't get along, but as we grew older, we became close friends. We started dating when I was 16. However, Eleanor never really approved of our relationship and started distancing herself from my mom. The Evans family wasn't very wealthy either, and although the diner was decent, it wasn't doing great. Ethan used to tell me about his parents' late-night arguments over the struggles of the business. Everything went downhill in the summer of 2016. At that time, I was working at a bookstore, determined to save up for college. I had big dreams, even though I came from a small town. But then my mom had an accident. After fighting for her life in the hospital for a month, she passed away. I was devastated. She was the only family I had aside from my grandparents. I felt completely lost. Ethan became my support during this dark time and helped me through it. I decided to leave my job at the bookstore and took up my mom's position at the diner because it paid better. Sadly, I had to give up on my college dreams and focus on surviving since I was now on my own. About 8 months after my mom passed away, while we were closing up the diner, Ethan surprised me with a marriage proposal. I said yes with all my heart. Our wedding was small and intimate, with only a few people. After we got married, I moved in with him and his parents. However, something felt off. Eleanor had always been concerned with wealth and status. I remember my mom telling me how Eleanor used to talk about wanting the diner to thrive and finding a wealthy, well-educated girl for Ethan. It was surprising that Ethan's parents, especially Eleanor, supported our marriage, but at that time, I was too caught up in my grief to think much about it. Even though Eleanor knew about our relationship, she subtly hinted that Ethan deserved to be with someone of higher status. One day, when the diner was busy, one of Ethan's friends visited. I was in the back doing inventory when I overheard Eleanor talking with Miles and his new wife, Sheila. When I came to the front to say hi, Eleanor quickly sent me away without properly introducing me. Later, Eleanor and I had an interesting conversation. "That was Miles," she said. "He recently got married, huh?" "Oh yes, he married Sheila," she continued. "She's an absolute gem, you know. Fantastic upbringing and all. Both her parents are top-notch doctors in Orlando. She's quite remarkable herself, practicing law. Really, a catch like her is what any man dreams of. Lucky guy, that Miles. I wish my Ethan had that kind of luck." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Well, you know how it is. Sometimes, I just wish Ethan had found someone who's more put together, like Sheila," Eleanor said. "It's funny how Ethan and Miles grew up liking the same things, and look at their wives now. Quite a contrast, huh?" "You know, Eleanor, it's not always about what society thinks. Ethan and I have a history together, and our love runs deep." "Sweetie, love is just a word sometimes," she replied. "You're young, and I get that you're in love. But my love for Ethan is unconditional, and I believe that's the most precious thing in life. If you claim to love him so much, don't you think he deserves someone even better?" When Eleanor looked at me, she said something that cut deep. "With your mom gone and your dad who disappeared who knows when, if it weren't for Ethan, could you even take care of yourself? What do you have to offer?" I know these words sting, but they're kind of true, don't you think? Eleanor's words hurt me deeply. I tried to brush it off, thinking she just needed time to accept me. But her comments stuck with me, and I couldn't shake the anger I felt. Deep down, I started to wonder if there was some truth in what she said. I was pretty insecure back then, which made her words hurt even more. As for me and Ethan, things weren't as good as they used to be. I started to question if he regretted marrying me. There was a growing distance between us, and at first, I blamed it on the struggles we were having with the diner. But there was definitely something changing between us. It had been over a year and a half since we got married, and during that time, Eleanor occasionally made hurtful remarks about my background. Despite her comments, I tried my best to stay calm and focus on strengthening my relationship with Ethan. However, over time, Eleanor's behavior started to change. Her comments became more frequent and more hurtful, and it was clear that something was wrong. She was acting unpredictably, and then one evening at the dinner table, something unexpected happened that changed my life in ways I could never have imagined. "How was your day, dear?" Eleanor asked. "It was all right," Ethan replied. "Actually, I've been wanting to announce something, Mom and Dad. I've been thinking about this for quite some time now. I think I'm going to invest some of my money in Taylor's education. It's always been her dream to go to college, and the diner isn't doing well anyway." The whole dining room went silent when Ethan said that. I was stunned. He hadn't even talked to me about it beforehand. The tension in the room was thick, and even Eleanor looked shocked. It was a sweet gesture, but I wished he had given me a heads up before dinner. "Jesus Christ, Ethan," Eleanor said, clearly upset. "Mom, please don't overreact," Ethan responded. "Richard, why aren't you saying anything? You can't seriously be considering this." Eleanor snapped. "Let's hear Ethan out, dear," Richard said calmly. "Ethan and I haven't discussed this," I added, trying to keep the peace. "Ethan, I think it might be a good idea if we talk about this one-on-one first." But before I could say anything else, Eleanor cut me off. "No, you stop. You don't get to have a say in this. We took your mother in at the diner out of pity after your alcoholic dad abandoned you. She was a single woman with an 8-year-old child and no one to help her. You and your mother were nothing more than a sympathy project. We generously offered her a place at our diner for so long, and now you've managed to worm your way into our house. My son deserved someone better than you, someone from a well-off family. He should be living a suburban life of luxury and sophistication, but instead, you're with him now, living under our roof, leeching off my son's success. Honey, please hear me out," Ethan pleaded as I started to get up from the table. "Don't leave." "I'm sorry, but I've had enough," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. After enduring Eleanor's brutal and painful remarks for so long, I couldn't hold back the tears any longer, despite trying to keep my composure. I excused myself from the dining table and practically ran into the kitchen to get some space. I hovered near the kitchen door, hoping to catch parts of the conversation going on at the table. Through the muffled voices, I heard Ethan's voice rise above the others. "Mom, can't you see what you're doing? I know Taylor isn't your first choice for me. Maybe it started as just a crush, or maybe I felt sorry for her, but she lost her mom and needed someone. Maybe I messed up and confused sympathy with love, but I just can't leave her. She has no one else. I'll admit, our romantic connection has faded, and I've drifted apart from that, but Taylor's in a tough spot. She has nowhere else to go. I've been thinking about paying for her college, and maybe after that, we can figure out the divorce. But I can't just kick her out like that. We've been together since we were 16, you know." "Oh my God, Ethan," I heard Eleanor respond, her voice filled with frustration. "I've seen this coming from the start. Taylor is nothing but trouble. You've let your emotions get the best of you. Pity isn't the foundation for a lasting relationship. You've grown, and it's time to think about your own future. Her problems shouldn't be your burden. You can't fix her life if it's going to ruin yours." I was completely floored by what I had just heard. Ethan had been with me out of pity. My heart shattered into a million pieces. Our whole marriage felt like a sham. At that moment, I knew what I had to do. I had to give him what he seemed to want, a divorce. I made a bold choice to follow my dreams, and it led me straight to Los Angeles. I figured I had nothing to lose. I rented a small one-room apartment, living on a basic mattress, and relied on my writing experience to find work. I aimed to get a job at a restaurant and start this new chapter in LA. After some hustling, I landed a job at a restaurant. I got into the rhythm of living paycheck to paycheck, but I didn't let that slow me down. In a few months, I got a promotion to work directly under the restaurant manager. Life started to improve. I wasn't just scraping by anymore. My hard work and skills were finally being recognized. I eventually moved into the world of high-end hotel management, working at places that catered to celebrities. As my career grew, so did my lifestyle. I traded my simple apartment for a luxurious house. After the heartbreak with Ethan, I had pretty much given up on love, But then Harry walked into my life. We met at my friend Alyssa's extravagant birthday party on a yacht. I was still getting used to all the fancy stuff rich people do. Harry had this magnetism about him, and he made me feel comfortable right away. He treated me with genuine respect and made me feel like I belonged in his world. It turns out he was a big deal in the LA finance scene, with a wealthy family and all that. I was blown away to find out that his dad, Mr. Johnson, was a billionaire. Fast forward to our wedding day, we tied the knot at a stunning vineyard in Los Angeles. Just last month, we celebrated our first anniversary, which felt like a big deal. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about Ethan and his family during all this time. While I was out here hustling to make a name for myself, Eleanor's words haunted me. I had this constant urge to prove to her that I could be successful on my own terms, and that it was her son who had let me down. Life indeed surprises us in countless ways, and it certainly surprised me last weekend when my father-in-law hosted a party at their sprawling mansion in Bel Air. While I was mingling, my eyes locked onto someone across the room, and my heart started racing. There, serving food, was an elderly woman who looked just like Eleanor. My mind struggled to comprehend the possibility of her being there. I quickly excused myself from the company to process what I was seeing. I made my way over to the lady, and yes, it was her, Eleanor. "Hey, Eleanor," I greeted her. "Hey, stranger. It's been a while," she responded, seemingly unfazed. "It has. What are you doing here?" "Doing the whole catering thing," she replied with a hint of pride. "Can you believe it? Rubbing shoulders with all these high-profile folks." "Well, congrats on that," I said, trying to maintain a polite tone. "Thanks, but honestly, you've got a part in this. We might not have come this far if we were still dealing with some holdbacks." Pretty bold statement. I've always wanted what's best for the family. Sure thing. We shut down the old diner and leaped into the catering world. Ethan came up with the idea, and surprise, it's turning out to be pretty profitable. Now we're crisscrossing the state, catering to all sorts of events and fancy clients. We were in Glendale a few nights ago when Mr. Johnson asked us to cater for his party. You know, I never wished you any ill will, so I genuinely hope you're doing well. How's Ethan? Better than he used to be. Oh, and here's the kicker. Ethan has moved on with his love life and snagged himself a new girlfriend. Usually he accompanies me on these trips, but this time he's off to Hawaii with her. She's a real delight to have around, gorgeous like a living doll. She just seems perfect for my kid. Good for him, I replied, my voice calm. By the way, Eleanor, what are you doing here? Who called you here? I'm sorry, but you're too poor to be here. You haven't changed at all, have you? Forget about me, look at you, still trying to get your way around the rich. Old habits die hard, sweetheart. He'll always be that girl from Fairfield, the one with nothing to offer. I'm here because I belong here, just like anyone else. No one called me. I came here with Harry, my husband, and also Mr. Johnson's son. Eleanor's face displayed a look of shock, but she quickly composed herself, maintaining her usual mean demeanor. Don't think he'll stick around forever. People like you never stay for long. Eventually he'll see that he deserves someone better, someone from his world. Harry is just Maeve. You have no idea how far I've come. I have a name in the hotel industry now, and never mind, you know that your wealth doesn't define you, just as my past doesn't define me. I've worked hard to build a life for myself, and I'm proud of where I stand today. Well, aren't you full of yourself, she sneered. You may have managed to climb the ladder, but you'll never truly fit in with people like us. You'll always be an outsider. You know, I used to think that way too. I responded, my voice steady, but I've learned that truly belonging doesn't come from material possessions or social status. You've certainly grown bold, haven't you? Well, we'll see how long that lasts. I've seen it all before. It's good that Ethan got rid of you. If you want to delude yourself, go ahead, but don't expect me to change my mind about you. I was all set to deal with Eleanor and show her I meant business, but suddenly the sound of a spoon hitting a glass stole the spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention, please. Tonight I stand before you with a lot of pride and joy in my heart. It is a momentous occasion as I pass on the torch of responsibility to the next generation, my son Harry. I gave Harry a quick look, and our eyes connected for a second. I smiled at him, and I'm proud of you smile. His dad was just handing him an entire business, making it his day to remember. It was his special day, and I was determined not to let anyone from my past mess with the great thing I had going on at the moment. Taylor, my dear daughter-in-law, you have shown us the true meaning of strength and resilience. From the very moment I met Taylor, I was captivated by her tenacity, dedication, and unwavering commitment to her dreams. Her journey from a small town to the chaotic city of Los Angeles has impressed me. She is a remarkable young woman who has not only touched my son's heart, but also brought a lot of joy into our lives. Tonight we celebrate not just the passing of the torch to my son Harry, but also the recognition of Taylor's extraordinary talent and potential. It is with absolute delight that I announce that Taylor will be taking charge alongside Harry as a key leader in our business. It was totally my I made it moment to have Mr. Johnson, the big shot behind this business, acknowledge me and hand over this huge responsibility. I can't even put into words how much that meant. With everyone clapping and cheering, Harry made his way to me and leaned in, giving me a sweet little peck on the cheek. You deserve this as much as I do. I love you, baby. Cheers to us. I love you too, I replied, feeling an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. In the midst of all the excitement, I hadn't forgotten the conversation I was having with Eleanor earlier. Now with this huge announcement, I was itching to see her reaction and maybe just drop it on her. I scanned the room and spotted Eleanor, still standing there, somewhat taken aback. Hey, I said as I approached her. I just swung by to soak up this moment, you know, the one where I get to show you how off the mark you were about me. Oh, the golden days of your doubt. Remember when you thought I'd crash and burn in this world? Like a hot minute ago. I had valid concerns, okay? I mean, how could he? No, you got it all wrong. Well, those words just got upgraded to my achievements, co-running this business with Harry, living the life I've always wanted. I didn't level up for your approval, but I can't deny that it's pretty satisfying watching you squirm. At that moment, a hint of satisfaction crept over me because it seemed like karma was doing its thing perfectly. With a little smug smile, I looked into her eyes, feeling a boost of confidence. Revenge might not be the noblest thing, but seeing Eleanor's jealousy written all over her face was a pretty satisfying win. It's been about a week since the big bash. I'm pretty sure Ethan's back from his vacation by now. Eleanor must have filled him in on the whole deal too. The feeling of proving myself to those who once doubted me, I can't even put it into words. It's a reminder that you never know what someone's really made of, and that even the biggest skeptics can be proven wrong. With Harry right there beside me, we're juggling not just one but two businesses, living life to the fullest, rich in every sense of the word.